Welcome to Aging Gayfully. We're about adventure, leisure, travel, being a citizen of the world, traveling to destinations, and being a part of the global community as we age and prosper in body, mind, and spirit.
Welcome to Aging Gayfully. I'm Josh.
Josh, it's good to see you. I'm Chris.
Chris, how have you been this week?
It's been a fun week in the Aging Gayfully world because we're still aging gayfully, each one day at a time.
There you go. Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
It's been a weird week, but I did get to go out some this week. Amanda and I went out. I went to a pub on Wednesday or Thursday night.
Yeah.
And then last night, which was Saturday night, actually not night, mid evening, we went to a 50th birthday party at a friend's bar. So it's my friend Jacob and his wife turned 50, and Jacob owns a bar. And you want to get to know people who own bars because they throw parties at their bar and they give you all the free drinks and they provide all the food. Is glorious. So this is what we've done.
You know, I've always said that it's good to know, it's good to have friends in two places. It's good to know your bartender, and even better if the bartender owns the bar. And it's good to know your pharmacist so that the pharmacist could help fix anything that you...
Very good, very good. You know,
the mixologist to the pharmacist.
That's right. My friend Mike O'Malley, nice Irish gentleman, told me this story. His dad taught him at a very early age that when you move into a new place, you need to first thing find your pub, right? That's the most important thing, is to find your pub. And when you find your pub, the first time you go in there, you chat up the bartender, you find out where you want to sit, you have your beverage, you order only one beverage, and you tip your bartender $20. He said from then on out, the bartender will remember you and will take care of you.
That's an important tip.
Yeah. So I always trust Irish people when they tell me about how to treat.
I get that one too. Yeah.
Yep. So there you go.
Yeah.
That little tip there was for free from my friend Professor Mike O'Malley.
We need to have him on the show.
we oh my gosh, he's such an interesting bloke, and he's kind of like you know Jeff Goldblum.
Oh yeah, Jeff Goldblum's from St. Louis. Yeah.
Oh, very interesting. Didn't know that. You know, yeah. Jeff Goldblum has a very distinctive way about being Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And Mike O'Malley has a very distinctive way about being Mike O'Malley. So I'd love to have him on.
It's funny. I remember the first time I saw Jeff Goldblum in a movie, but now I can't think of the name of the movie, but I'm sure it'll come because Glenn Close was in the movie. Oh God, it's 30 some odd years ago. It was a classic. Kevin Kline was in the movie.
Oh, in one movie?
Yeah. Yeah, there was. Let me shift my look to my big screen here, and the Big Chill. That's it. Yeah. And you know who else was in the Big Chill? Even though the only part that he was shown was when they were stitching up his pretending stitching up his wrist because he had slit his wrist. Kevin Costner. He never got an appearance. I think he got a credit, but that was one of his first movies also. So
wow. Well,
we're gonna do music today, but we need to do movies.
This is a good transition, though, because it's causing us to think back on movies from the 80s. And what I'd like to do is just look at the different eras of music that we have experienced and kind of talk about what music meant to us. Maybe there are specific songs, maybe there are specific bands,
Hmm.
and just see where that conversation takes us. Because the reality is, music, I believe, is very, very powerful,
Yeah.
and it can take us to,
It takes us to, yeah, it takes
yeah.
us, it both takes us internally and externally, and it connects people in ways that you wouldn't believe.
So I want to start with an era I didn't actually live through, but it's a song that is one of my special songs, and it is from 1967. I was born in 1971, but the song is from 1967. "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" by Frankie Valli.
Oh yeah.
There's just something about that song. I don't know if it's the build up. I don't know if it's the horns. I, that song just sends me. It very much reminds me of being a young kid in the 70s, and that's probably where I first heard it. It is such a great and joyful song, and the message is just such a great message of love and longing, and "Can't Take My Eyes Off You," Frankie Valli. That is my
Did
song that's representative of the 60s.
Did you ever see Jersey Boys?
I did.
I mean, every song. I mean, is there a Frankie Valli song that we don't like? I don't think so.
Yeah, I can't think of one. But that's definitely that one. And oh my gosh, don't make me think now. There's another one of his that just really, really sends me to. So anyway, no, that's my first song, and that's definitely takes me to a place.
Yeah. So in that era, which since I'm about a few years older than you, when I think of music at that in that period of time, I often think of my sister Jerry because
Okay.
out of all my siblings, I was around her the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I just got to go with Diana Ross and the Supremes.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
Very
Motown.
nice.
Yeah, Barry
Motown in
White.
general.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember Diana Ross and the Supremes was like, and when Diana Ross, I think, is in her 82.
Hmm.
There was a special on not too long ago about her, and she was moving and singing and dinging and dancing, and she was looking great. But when I think of the '60s, I think of Motown, and I think of Diana Ross and the Supremes, and yeah,
Yeah, Motown is great. There's so many classic pop and rock songs come from that era, and juxtapose that with the fact that those artists weren't necessarily given the respect that they deserved because they were black and they were a part of a,
right,
you know, and yet you had white culture consuming their art, but they still didn't have an equal place in society, which,
mm.
there's also a parallel uh, of that and the gay community by
Oh,
far.
very much so. Mm-hmm.
You look at youth culture and youth slang and all these things where they've blatantly taken from the gay community
Mm-hmm.
and been like, oh, this is, I don't know where this came from. We just this is how we like to talk. Well, okay,
Yeah, it's
you've
all
taken it
good.
from the gay community, you've taken it from drag culture. There's a lot of that these
There's a
days
lot
of
of that. Oh yeah,
of just taking from that. So I resonate with Motown because of that as well,
yeah,
and my wish that these artists had been treated in a way that was equal to how their art was consumed.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, but that's all I have for the '60s because I actually wasn't alive for the '60s. So,
Well, I got your back.
okay, do you? What is the first connection with? What year were you born, by the way?
57.
Okay. So your first connection with music in a way that seemed meaningful to you as a kid. Do you remember a time where all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, music is cool," or "Oh, I love this song."
Well, other than thinking about my sister Jerry and her, she had this desire. She wanted to be a singer in a band.
Hmm.
And of course, our father forbid it. You can't do those types of things. But, since she was kind of entrusted with my care most evenings while they were out, speaking of bars, they owned a bar for a period of time. Um, she would drag me wherever her band practice was. So I was always present with her when she was rehearsing and practicing. But again, when I think about that, I just, even to this day, it always comes back to what I mentioned earlier, the Supremes. That was my first um, indication of music. And then you get into the 70s, and of course you're starting to get into cassettes
Yeah.
and 8 tracks and all that. And I think it's funny. I saw a T-shirt the other day. It had a cassette. The cassette was on the front of it, and then there was a pencil through the little, what would you call those little two holes that they connect, well, whatever. But and then underneath that it says, "Yes, I'm old enough to remember these. Do you know what these are?"
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. So the 70s, obviously I was born in 71. So near the end of the 70s, I really started to become aware of popular music because I hung out a lot at my neighbor's house, and because they would take care of me, and they had college kids in the house at that point. So,
Yeah.
I became aware of all of these things. And I remember um, uh, 8 tracks,
Mm.
which I never understood how they worked. Okay, what do you mean there's 8 tracks in here, but there's only one tape in there? I didn't get that.
Yeah.
But the song that stuck with me during the 70s, and that is one of my favorites even today, is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Goodbye. Yeah.
And in
Mm.
general, I early on became aware of Elton John.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
it's funny because I'm a kid there, and I see Elton John maybe in a magazine or maybe on TV. And he dressed so stylishly and so outlandishly that, I thought he was just another Muppet, because I loved the Muppet Show back then too. So I was
Right.
just like, look at this character off Sesame Street here, and he sings.
And he
Um,
sings. Yeah.
but that song is such a great song about, yearning for a simple life, and
Hmm.
uh, of course, using the metaphor of the yellow brick road and everything that connected
Right.
with me as a kid because I was aware of it. So Elton John in general to me is very 70s, and that song specifically, I still listen to it today and I love it.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier, what triggered music for me, and then I was sitting here thinking about it, and I remember now, like in the early '70s, there was a TV show. I think it was the early '70s. Well, sometimes in the '70s, it was the Monkees had a TV show,
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Loved
and
that.
I mean, it was on Monday nights, and then there was always a song associated with it. And then, the Partridge Family. I mean,
Oh,
we're
sure.
kind of digging into, uh, the 70s type of um, genre. But that would be if there was something that triggered interest in music, it would be through television shows. And then thinking about the 70s for me, it's kind of like, oh, well, I was very fortunate to work as an usher at the St. Louis Arena. So some of the concerts that I would see in the 70s, I sat through 2 sessions of Bob Dylan
Hmm.
in the 70s. The fragrance in the arena was quite intense.
I'm sure. Yes.
Yeah, and then one of the best concerts I saw in the 70s was Elton John.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too because I feel like now we can just access any music we want. We have
Right.
we
It's
can
that
get on streaming services. We can watch YouTube and see things. You almost can't get away with it. But back then, discoverability was very very different and difficult. And a lot of the bands from the late '70s or musical acts, I became aware of from. I mentioned the Muppet Show earlier, but the Muppet Show actually had a musical guest every week,
every week.
and they
Yeah.
were just contemporary current pop stars like Elton John, or I remember Alice Cooper was weirdly on the Muppet Show at one point. And so like that's how kids were becoming aware. If they didn't have siblings that listened to these radio stations or had these 8 tracks or whatever, then they were finding it in these other ways that maybe were a little bit unexpected. And it's always a gem to be able to look back and say, oh, I became aware of Alice Cooper, the metal singer, on the Muppet Show, an episode of the Muppet Show. To me,
Right.
that's always fun to say. And
Well, and you know,
kids will never have that experience today,
no.
where because everything is so available and so saturated, where you
Right.
find something and it feels so happenstance to almost be fated, right? Just to be,
Right.
it was the will of the fates, and that's just a lovely feeling.
And another TV show that really accentuated musicians, and they just had their 50th anniversary was Saturday Night Live.
Oh, sure. Of course, I never stayed
Yeah,
up that late, but sure.
yeah, and they always every week they featured a musician or a
Hmm.
band.
Hmm.
So
And you had like Soul Train, and you had American Bandstand for when that
American,
was on,
yeah,
which I never experienced that, but I did catch the Soul Train reruns in the afternoons when I came
yeah,
home from school.
yeah. Soul Train and American Bandstand. Goodness, uh,
All right, so
good stuff.
let's look now at the '80s because that's really when I started to really appreciate and come into music. And for me, the '80s was all about like Brit electronic music, or
Yeah,
like, so the one that I'm thinking of right now, it's not actually British, they're Norwegian, is "Take on Me" by Aha. To me, that is the quintessential '80s song.
yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with it,
I'm
but
familiar with it. Hmm.
I have an '80s playlist, and that's always first on it. Now, interestingly, the reason why I fell in love with that song is because the music video was so artistic and so interesting. It was composed in such a way that you thought that the lead singer had fallen into a kind of a cartoon world, and
Hmm.
the concept was so out there for that time. And so this is when, for me as a kid, video really started to influence what I listened to,
Well,
because MTV had come out. So
you just took the words right out of my mouth. When you think about MTV, what it
mhm.
was when it started and what it is now, it's like MTV played such a big role in um, in getting people interested in the music. And
Does
those,
MTV
the,
still exist?
I think it does. I mean, I think I see it on my channel, but it's not like it was.
Yeah.
So it was all music, and of course, if you listen to, if you don't know if you have Sirius XM, um, they have they have stations for the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and I think it's some of those stations you'll hear three of the four DJs, video DJs
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
Mark Goodman. I can't think of all their names. Why
Yeah.
can't I think of all their names? But it's cool to kind of listen to some of those channels on Sirius XM because you hear the video DJs and it's kind of like it's like you're like in a time lapse. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. God, I remember like Nina Blackwood and
yeah,
Downtown Julie Brown,
down
and
right.
yeah,
Hmm.
some of these folks.
Yeah,
Daisy Fuentes was on there as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the kind of the '80s for me. I look at a whole bunch of groups and songs. Journey is probably my
Oh,
favorite.
sure.
Uh,
Sure.
we can't forget about saying something about the Beatles and Paul McCartney, and I think one of the best concerts I had ever seen was at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, the old Busch Stadium. Paul McCartney and Wings.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was that was like one of the that was the best. I think that was probably the best concert I had ever been to because it was entertaining. Well, Bette Midler's concert was pretty entertaining too, but
Well,
the '80s for me, I was also bowling
yeah.
at the time, and there were some motivational songs that I'd listen to.
I like what?
Well, I pulled it up right now. Bob Seger, just his lyrics and his raspy voice,
Sure.
and some of his songs. And of course, I can't name the ones right off the top of my head, but I would listen to him before I would go start a session on when we bowled, and it's like it just kind of loosened you up. You got you ready to rock and roll, rather rock and bowl. I just came up with that,
Yes.
Josh. Now come on, let's
Yes. I'm
uh,
certain that there are several bowling alleys across the Midwest that are called Rock and Bowl.
rock and bowl. Yeah. So I look at that, and then I liked a lot of the Australian groups too.
Oh, there was more than one Australian group? Because the only
Uh,
one I can think of is Men at Work.
well, you got Little River Band.
Oh, they were Australian?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, see, I'm going to have to look that up now.
And I thought they were
Okay.
Australian, but
Oh, they might be. I don't know. Yep, Melbourne, Australia.
yeah,
There you go. Did not know that. That's interesting. Yeah, like
yeah,
I said, I enjoyed Men at Work, which was the only
yeah.
Australian band that I was aware of.
Mhm.
And oh, also, I guess the Bee Gees, they're from Australia, aren't they?
Bee Gees.
Are they from Australia or no?
We did a Bee Gees concert too.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
See, now I have
yeah.
to check my math because I thought they were from Australia, but maybe they weren't.
Hmm.
Let's see. They were Isle of Man. No, Manchester, England. Why did I think that they were Australian? Oh, in 1958 they moved to Australia. Okay, so there you go. So I guess they are Australian via Britain.
Take it easy on me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take it easy on me, Little River Band. Because it kind of takes you back to at least for me, it takes me back to the era when I listened to these songs. What was I
Yeah.
doing then?
Yeah.
And it's kind of coming full circle now. Now I listen to Sirius XM. All the instrumentals, and all the instrumentals now are these songs from the '70s.
Oh, very good. Like the
Sirius
elevator
XM
versions.
Escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all the LX. Like, well, I can sing. I can sing the words to myself
There you go.
because all the melody is there. So,
Elevator karaoke. Very good. It's just singing along with the music.
yeah, were you into Kiss?
Not so much. I was
Yeah,
aware
they were
aware
real
of them.
big when
Yeah.
I was in high school in the '70s, but I
Yeah.
never really got in. I never really got
I
in.
didn't get into rock music until I was an adult. When I was a kid, it was like uh, kids music, 70s kind of easy listening type of music because that's what my dad listened to. And
Yeah.
and then, when I was an adult, I kind of got more into the rock stuff.
Well, heavy metal really didn't wasn't the hadn't experienced heavy metal. I think until the '80s. I don't think it was part of the '70s.
Yeah, the 70s definitely had hard rock,
Yeah,
which is a little bit different, but
yeah. And now they It doesn't compare. That hard rock doesn't compare to anything
Oh no, absolutely not.
to
Absolutely.
the heavy metal bands.
I think of the stuff that I listened to back then, and I thought it was hard, and it would legit be playing at Publix now as I'm shopping for my grapes and my whatever. So, all right, so let's end our session here. I think on the '90s. My '90s music memory actually has nothing to do with '90s music, but it was probably one of the most formative experiences I had um, in music and being an adult. And
Yeah.
that is in the very early '90s. I was offered a chance to go see the Three Tenors. They appeared
Oh,
in Miami.
wow.
Someone
Yeah.
had a ticket that they couldn't use, and I don't know. I don't know what caused me. I think just because it was like, okay, this is a big cultural event. I am not at all into this type of music, but I think that this is so unique that I would regret later if I didn't go. So I went kind of with an open mind, kind of with a, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this. And I was blown away. And that really started my deep appreciation for classical music and particularly hearing tenors sing. Which is now, I'll sit down. If I need to sit down and work, I'll put on classical music. And then that'll be my soundtrack to make sure that I stay on task.
Classical music is the root of all music. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was the beginning of music.
So what's your
So,
experience with classical music?
uh, I I could sit and listen to um, symphonies, orchestra, opera. It's kind of like that soothing, for me. And I certainly do Beethoven and Mozart. Um, I think a good healthy dose of that music really helps settle the mind and remind you where music comes from. And you see, and I think I've heard Paul McCartney talk about this. How that's when you listen to that, it, it gets your creative juices flowing.
Hmm.
And I think we all have. I don't think anybody could say they never wanted to be a singer or a musician, but everybody has different talents and skills. But when you recognize the roots of it, it all comes back to classical music.
It's funny too because there are so many classical songs that I heard growing up that I didn't know that I was hearing because they were just around, whether in
Mhm.
commercials or
Right.
however else you'd pick it up. I started on a classical music playlist that I got from Apple Music. So in other words, I didn't put it together. And I would hear a song and be like, "Oh yeah, of course I know that." And I'd look at the title and artist and realize I've never known where this came from. I just knew that this was kind of a music that was always in my background.
Hmm.
So that's kind of neat. And the other thing is, I think that kids are primed to appreciate classical music if they consume movies because a lot of times the soundtrack to movies is orchestral, your
Very much so.
typical classical orchestral makeup, and so
And then when you
that's
go
classical.
to the theater, and they have an orchestra, and when you go see a play or a
Mm.
performance, I mean it just you know live music. It's a turn on.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. Um, Now, I will also put a plug in there for the fact that research has shown that classical music, particularly, has a very positive impact on cognitive health and emotional well-being. So I'm gonna
Mm.
plug that in there just so that we feel like we've really, really made a difference with this show, as opposed to just sitting around gassing about these songs. Music is powerful, and it takes us to places, like you said, and it can also take us through places as we're going through difficult times.
Yeah, very much
So
so.
There you go. What I want to know out there, dear listener and watcher, what music you love. What music did you grow up with? What music took you through a difficult time?
Yeah.
How can they?
What's your go-to song?
That's right. How can they let us know that?
They can let us know that by putting a comment in the section on YouTube, or they can email us at yesiam at AgingGayfully.com. Yes, I am at AgingGayfully.com.
Yes, and we should also age gayfully, dayfully.
Ditto.
Every day.
Every day.
All right, folks. So until next time, I've been Josh. That's been Chris. And please keep yourself safe and love each other.